Ukraine to propose partial ceasefire at meeting with US in Saudi Arabia. US Senator Graham to introduce new sanctions bill targeting Russia's banking and energy sectors, and how US wants to assess Ukraine's willingness to make material concessions to Russia. The latest news next. US Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is preparing a new bill on sanctions against Russia, which he plans to submit this week, reported by European Pravda with reference to Voice of America. Graham said that the sanctions will target the Russian banking sector and energy industry and are intended to urge Russia to get to the table.
If they don't engage in ceasefire and peace talks with the administration, we should sanction the hell out of them. I'll be introducing sanctions on their banking sector and their energy sector next week.
It is outrageous that these sanctions haven't been imposed long ago. Russia has been waging a brutal war, violating international law and committing atrocities, yet decisive action is still being delayed. How much more destruction, suffering and blatant aggression does the world need to see before real consequences follow? The Russian banking sector and energy industry continue to fuel this war, and every day without strict sanctions only enables their crimes further. Enough empty rhetoric. It's time for uncompromising measures that actually cripple Russia's ability to wage war. The United States is planning to use a meeting scheduled for the 11th of March with the Ukrainian delegation in Saudi Arabia to assess Kyiv's readiness to make possible material concessions to Russia in order to end the war, reported by Reuters citing to anonymous U.S. officials. About details, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will arrive in Jeddah, where he will lead the American delegation in talks with Ukrainian officials. Andriy Yermak, head of the Ukrainian president's office, will lead the negotiations on behalf of Ukraine. It is expected that Rubio will be joined by White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff.
U.S. officials are planning to use Tuesday's meeting with the Ukrainian delegation in Saudi Arabia, in part to determine whether Ukraine is willing to make material concessions to Russia to end the war.
The US side will also view the talks as an opportunity to assess Kyiv's willingness to improve relations with Trump's administration. This issue has become particularly relevant after the previous meeting between the presidents of the US and Ukraine ended in Aspat last month. You can't say, "I want peace and I refuse to compromise on anything," one US official said, commenting on the upcoming talks. Another official emphasized the importance of realistic expectations regarding a peaceful settlement. Quote, "We want to see if the Ukrainians are interested not just in peace but in a realistic peace. If they are only interested in 2014 or 2022 borders, that tells you something. Ukraine will never make territorial concessions or agree to Russia's terms. Any suggestion that Kyiv must compromise its sovereignty to achieve peace is unacceptable and plays into the hands of the aggressor. Ukraine has already paid an enormous price in this war, defending not only its land but the principles of international law and justice. No pressure, whether from external powers or manipulative narratives, will force Ukraine to surrender its rightful territories. A true and just peace can only be achieved with the full restoration of Ukrainian territorial integrity, not through coerced compromises that legitimize Russian aggression. Ukraine will try to convince the US to resume intelligence and military support and will also seek to prove that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is committed to a swift end to the war with Russia at the talks in Saudi Arabia, reported by the Financial Times. Financial Times sources speaking about the preparations for the talks in Saudi Arabia said that Kyiv wants to propose a partial ceasefire, including long-range strikes on Russia and military operations in the Black Sea. In this way, Ukraine hopes that progress in the talks will prompt Washington to reverse their decision to pause intelligence sharing and weapons supplies. A Ukrainian official said that Kyiv will prioritize building ties with the US in the short term. Meanwhile, two European officials stated that Ukraine views progress in ceasefire talks as a quid pro quo for the resuming of military and intelligence assistance. A U.S. Department of State spokesperson stated that Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be in the Saudi city of Jeddah from Monday to Wednesday for talks to advance the president's goal to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Russia attacked Ukraine on the night of the 9th to the 10th of March 2025, launching 176 Shahed UAVs and decoy drones, reported by Ukrainian's Air Force.
As of 8 a.m., 130 Shahed attack UAVs and other types of drones have been confirmed shot down over Kharkiv, Poltava, Sumy, Chernihiv, Cherkasy, Kyiv, Kirovohrad, Zhytomyr, Vinnytsia, Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhzhia, Donetsk, Odessa, Mykolaiv, and Kherson oblasts.
Drones were launched from the Russian cities of Shatalova, Milerova, Kursk, Bryansk, and Primorsk-Akhtarsk, and from Chauda in temporarily occupied Crimea. Aircraft, anti-aircraft missile forces, electronic warfare units, and mobile fire groups from the Air Force and the rest of Ukraine's defense forces were involved in repelling the attack. In addition to the downed UAVs, 42 Russian decoy drones disappeared from radar and failed to reach their targets. Despite the effective combat efforts of Ukraine's air defense, damage was recorded to facilities in Kharkiv, Poltava, and Kyiv regions. Information on the extent of the damage and casualties is being confirmed. So this is how Russia wants peace. By launching drones from Shatalov, Milerova, Kursk, Bryansk, Primorsk-Akhtarsk, and occupied Chauda in Crimea, they don't stop for a single day, relentlessly terrorizing civilians, destroying cities, and murdering innocent people. This is their version of a ceasefire, their idea of negotiations through endless war crimes and bloodshed. The only path to real peace is Russia's total defeat. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.